This is the moment we've all been waiting for. A Canada versus USA final in best-on-best hockey. With the magnitude of what's at stake along with the current political climate of both of these countries, it has captured more than just hockey fans. We witnessed a game for the ages last Saturday that saw 3 fights in the first 9 seconds. And while it was extremely tight all the way through, Team USA found a way to shut down Canada's best. However, with a big win for Canada over Finland, we get the much anticipated rematch to determine who is the king of the hockey world. So let's take an in-depth look at how both of these teams will try to expose one another to win the biggest hockey game we've seen in years. First, let's start on the path of victory for Team USA. For the States, we saw firsthand the blueprint of USA's game plan working wonders against Canada in Game 1. They put on a defensive clinic against Canada's best. And we covered this mostly in our last video, but all game Team USA made sure that Canada's best players had to attack through multiple layers once they got the puck. Nathan MacKinnon and Connor McDavid are virtually unstoppable when they get the puck in the middle of the ice with speed. Team USA learned that the hard way on goal number 1 in that game. So they made damn sure that no matter what the score was of the game, they stayed above the puck in the neutral zone. The States ran a 1-2-2 neutral zone forecheck, which frequently forced Canada away from the middle of the ice when they had possession. This led to dump-ins and ultimately the game-winning goal for the U.S. A combination of layers and back pressure forced a no-zone turnover where the U.S. buried the game winner off the rush. What's important to note about the States' philosophy, though, was that they played this style the second the game started. They were fully committed to staying in good defensive posture and being patient for a potential mistake that they could capitalize on. Playing this style isn't ideal for scoring a whole bunch of goals, but trading chances with Team Canada and getting into a track meet is exactly what they wanted to avoid. As long as the US stays patient enough to capitalize on Canada's mistakes and gain a lead, they are more than happy to hold down the fort and rely on Connor Hellebuyck. That's a lot easier when you're playing with a lead also. Offensively in this tournament, Team USA has created by grinding down their opponent down low and on the forecheck. Against Canada, controlled zone entries were few and far between for both teams, but USA didn't try bothering going east-west. They played north by rimming pucks, being first to possession on the far side, and then having a strong F2 or F3 there to provide support and get off the wall. Not only did this keep their game relatively low risk by avoiding any turnovers against Canada to attack on the transition, but it also fit their personnel. With players like the Tkachuks, Matthews, JT Miller and company, they can use their bigger frame to win battles and then their skill to get off the wall and make a play. That is something that they are doing better than anyone else at this tournament. Looking at Sport Contract's advanced stats, Team USA leads the entire tournament in slot passes with 15.3 slot passes per 60 compared to Canada's 10.6. Again, the reason for this is because of the style and personnel for the U.S. forwards. They're heavy on all 4 lines, they support each other very well, and once they get possession, their skill can get the puck off the wall and into the slot. Finally, they're going to try and expose Canada's Achilles heel, and that is Jordan Binnington. Canada's goaltending has perhaps been the biggest discussion in this tournament, and when you look at the roster up and down, goaltending is the weak spot. With a 2.60 goals against and an .896 save percentage in this tournament, the U.S. knows they have an advantage in the crease. Binnington, in comparison to Hellebuyck, plays a more aggressive and mobile style. Where Hellebuyck opts to stay deeper in his crease to eliminate any unnecessary movement, Binnington isn't afraid to challenge and come out of the white ice to cut off the angle. Both styles have its pros and cons, but with more movement, getting set off of rush chances become a tad more difficult. Both of USA's goals against Canada came off the rush as Binnington's feet never truly got set upon the release. On the Larkin goal, he gets way out on the white ice to challenge, and as he backs up to try and match Larkin's speed, his feet get caught moving and the shot beats him clean. Same with the 5-hole goal that had Canadians rolling their eyes. Rush chances in the finals will be very few and far between, but that's where Matthew Tkachuk could be a huge difference maker. Don't let his ugly skating fool you. He may not be moving fast, but he's certainly thinking faster than most. Frequently getting touches on his wing, he's incredible at finding either the weak side D or streaking center in the middle to kickstart the rush for Team USA. Then if you factor in that Quinn Hughes is pulling a stone cold Steve Austin and shocking everyone with a last minute entry into the finals, Team USA's rush offense can be a problem for Canada and Jordan Binnington specifically. Of course, the biggest thing for Team USA right now is their health. We know that the Tkachuks are banged up, Austin Matthews missed last game, and Charlie McAvoy, who was a monster in the first matchup, is done for the tournament. The U.S. game plan requires a heavy style of play, and if they are banged up, the execution may not be at its best. That opens up the doorway for Team Canada's path to victory. And before we cover their game plan, we got to do a couple stick taps for our sponsor, SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the best app for finding deals on tickets by rating them on a scale of 1 to 10 so you know if you're getting a good deal. If it's red, no bueno. If it's green, that is a banger. You should snatch up those tickets. SeatGeek is hooking us up with 15% off whether you're a new customer or not. Listen, you're probably going to have to sell a limb just to get into this game on Thursday, but the NHL resumes right after this tournament, and you can score a sweet deal on those tickets using SeatGeek. If you want to join in on the fun live with your favorite team, get the app, open your phone, and type Hockey15 in your code, and you'll get 15% off your next tickets. If you want the best seats in the house while scoring a great deal, click the link in our bio and use the code to get in on the action this season. Now, if Canada wants to win this game, they're going to have to find a way around Team USA's neutral zone trap. If Team USA insists on clogging the neutral zone, Canada must win the battle below the goal line and play a heavier style alongside their video game offense. This is something that Canada did extremely well against Finland. The virtual hockey scout highlighted Sam Reinhart's game in particular and how his forechecking allowed the Crosby line to dominate. As the F1, his perfect positioning was steering players into traffic to create a turnover. And when it came to winning 50-50 pucks, he'd initiate contact, create space for himself, and get possession for Canada. McKinnon's second goal was a direct result of Canada getting in below the goal line, winning their battle along the wall, and then getting it into the high danger slot. If the US is going to play that 1-2-2 and force Canada to dump in pucks, they will need to create more looks off the forecheck. Canada almost scored late in game one doing this, but it has to be far more consistent if they want to get more dangerous looks and ultimately win. Of course, that will be quite difficult, especially if Quinn Hughes is in the lineup. However, the same could be said about Cale Makar. Makar wasn't in the lineup for the first match, and he, like Quinn Hughes, has the ability to single-handedly beat forechecks and create offense on the transition. Here we see an almost identical 1-2-2 look from Finland, but Makar has possession going backwards, and with one head fake and strong edge work, he's able to beat the F1. From there, he makes a strong first pass to beat the second layer of Finland's neutral zone and activates to create an odd man advantage for Canada. That was sorely missed in the first matchup, and having Makar as a dual threat to make a strong first pass or join the rush can potentially overwhelm the US. However, from a team perspective, if Canada wants to limit USA's play in the trenches, then Binnington's puck skills play a huge part. In the first match, he had 16 puck touches, and he was crucial for helping Canada avoid the F1 of USA while getting up the ice quickly. For Canada, he basically acts as a third D-man back there to help his defensemen for retrievals. Then, of course, you have the biggest problem to solve, which is still Connor Hellebuyck. Only allowing 2 goals in this entire tournament, there isn't any glaring weaknesses to Hellebuyck's game. However, like most all-world goalies, you can't stop what you can't see. Looking at his advanced stats this season, in pretty much every category, Hellebuyck is well above average. All except his save percentage when it comes to point shots. Looking at some of his recent goals that he led in prior to this tournament, teams had success when getting in front of his eyes and forcing him to make a save through traffic. Because he's so positionally sound, he does usually stop the first one, but he's got a tendency to give up rebounds. In the last calendar year, the only time Hellebuyck truly looked out of sorts was in his series against Colorado. In 5 games, Hellebuyck had allowed 24 goals. Out of those 24 goals, 10 came off of shots from the point and either found a way in clean or snuck in through a tip or rebound. The main driver of that very strategy was Cale Makar. We recently talked about his unmatched ability to sift pucks through traffic and expose a goalie's relaxed stance. He and the Colorado Avalanche had their way with Hellebuyck last year by deploying this strategy, and if Canada can get into the interior in the O-zone, it may be the way that they finally beat Hellebuyck. Now, for both countries, the X factor is going to be special teams. With how close these teams are at even strength, this could be where the game gets wide open. Team Canada's power play has 5 nuclear options in this 1-3-1 formation. In 12 seconds, we saw their generational talents expose Sweden with the down low and a cross play. That is available against diamond PKs, and a diamond is what the US plays on their penalty kill. Canada had this exact look, but the US saw it coming, and Crosby threw in a wrinkle to find another option wide open. No finish on the play, but throw in Cale Makar in the mix, and now that's something the US wants no part of. Canada likely feels the same way. The US didn't convert on their first power play chance, but they came criminally close. Canada plays a triangle +1 to attempt to keep the play on one side of the ice. But again, the US was just so dangerous down low below the goal line because of the wizardry of Matthew Tkachuk. Not only can he be a passing threat to the slot or bumper in this position, but when the puck swings high, he can shift into the middle of the ice, get in the goalie's vision, and bang home a greasy one. He did this a few times against Canada, and his presence alone gave the US options throughout the entire zone. Not to mention, Canada has to worry about the flanks of USA's power play. On either side of what now could be Quinn Hughes filling in for Zach Werenski, they will have Eichel and Matthews curling high as options to be deadly shooting threats when attacking downhill. When looking at all of this, the margin of error for both teams is so small. Any one mistake or mishap could potentially determine the entire game. Usually in these scenarios, the team with the stronger goaltender comes out on top. However, in a do-or-die scenario, anything can happen. For one country, they believe their time to rule the hockey world is now. With World Junior success and the crop of talent coming up, this would be a massive statement. However, the other country is looking to prove that hockey is still indeed their game. Either way, this will be the biggest game the hockey world has seen in years. And Thursday night, we will find out who comes out on top.